video games, Facebook, YouTube, Snapchat, the internet is frightening for most parents and a panacea for kids. If we want to make agreements with our children and have a balance in setting limits on screen time, we first need to understand the draw that this is for our children. This is the most motivating, challenging, exciting, compelling things your children probably have to do these days. Way more interesting than doing their homework. So first, it's understanding their agenda. It's understanding what this is doing for them. Video games are an opportunity for mastery, especially if your children are having a hard time in school and they know they're not up to their peers, they don't feel successful in school. This is where they can be successful. And they know how to work at it to create that success. And it is compelling. They want to keep playing to increase that. They don't want to stop when they feel something is right there on the edge for them and they're going to be able to reach that if they just have 5 more minutes. Something we all hear from our kids. They're in control. Nobody in a video game is telling them what to do. They're fast moving for kids shortening attention spans. So, of course, they're going to be drawn in. They're going to be engaged with this. You've got to realize that when you bring it into your home and then start fighting over it, it doesn't seem too fair to your kids. To maintain some kind of a regulation that you agree on, you want to use the problem-solving skills, and you want to be proactive with this. You do not want to wait until a problem occurs, until you are in daily power struggles with your child over screen time. As soon as a new device comes into the home, you want to sit down as a family and talk about what is reasonable, come to an agreement. So you're going to use problem-solving skills. Everyone at the table talks about what they think is a reasonable time. And, you know, you might say 20 minutes once a week, and your child might say 3 hours a day. That's okay. That's where you're going to start. And you're going to go around the table, and remember, the rule of problem solving is that nothing is agreed on unless everyone is okay with it. Right? So you just keep devising. Then once you have made the rules, once you have the agreement down, write it down. You want to also think about what you do during weekdays and weekends. That may be different. So write all of these things down and let your kids know that in 1 week's time, 1 week from now, we're going to come back and we're going to evaluate. We're going to see how this worked for each one of us. When the evaluation is coming up, there's more motivation for your kids to follow the rules because they don't want to lose this, right? So it's motivating as well. But it also gives you that week to not do any nagging or blaming or threatening or punishing. You are waiting for a week before you do anything. Just do whatever you have to do to get your kids to come to the dinner table or do their homework, whatever you usually do. Don't do any threatening or yelling about it. Wait for that week and then say, this particular day and time did not work for me. This day worked. What was the difference? And everybody gets to say what worked or what didn't work. And your kids might argue that they didn't have enough time. So then you're back to the drawing boards and you're figuring it out once again. When you're talking about your kids getting off the device, instead of talking in terms of you refused, you wouldn't do it, you wouldn't listen to me, talk in terms of it was too hard for you. What I noticed was that it was really hard for you to get off at the agreed on time. That's much less blaming, much more considerate of what your child is going through, because it was too hard, right? There's no way around that. And also, kids have a really hard time with transitions. Many kids have a really hard time with transitions. This is a big transition, getting off the most enjoyable thing they have to do something that they're expecting is going to be boring and awful. So maybe talk to your kids about what would you like to do as soon as screen time is over. And you maybe write that down so your kid has something to look forward, something enjoyable that he's going to do right afterwards, that it's not switching from screen time to homework. Restrict your own use around your kids. This is a big one. We're talking lots and lots and lots about restricted use for kids, but we don't talk about how much time we are on our devices. How much time do you spend on your phone checking email, checking texts, texting other people, when your kids are around wanting your attention? Establish screen-free zones, maybe car time, maybe certainly dinner time, times when the family is together, when you agree that nobody has a device of any kind. Establish a charging station in the kitchen, so every night at a certain time, all devices are left there. You do not want your kids getting used to having screens in their bedrooms, because we know it kind of messes up with sleep and brain and all of that. Become literate about video games. There are many manuals that will tell you how the games are rated. You can just look them up online. Don't just go with what your kids want, but if you look it up online and find out that it's rated R, for instance, for your 8-year-old, then you have a discussion about that. You don't say, you can't have that, you're too young. You say, it's my job to make sure that you have games that are appropriate for you. And sometimes my job is really hard when I know I'm going to make you mad. Play games with your kids. Play video games with them. Get into it and give them the opportunity to teach you how. And it's so much fun for them when they are competent and capable and you can't get anything to work. It's a great time for laughing and sillying and just being with your kids. This is our future, like it or not. Our kids are native to it. They must have proficiency. They need to come up with the questions because the answers are right there at their fingertips. So keep all this in consideration when you're setting limits on screen time.
Visit bonnieharris.com or click the link in the description below for a free half-hour consultation.